Rome is beautiful, but let's be honest, it can be a total nightmare to navigate if you don't have a plan. If you're worried about the crowds, the heat, or just the sheer amount of walking, especially if you're like us and want to actually enjoy the trip, not just survive it, listen closely. We accidentally discovered a 48-hour formula that gave us the best of Rome without the burnout. By the end of this video, you'll have our exact itinerary, how we used the hop-on bus to get our bearings, and exactly where we walked on day 2 to find the real Rome. This is Rome, and I honestly don't think anything prepares you for that first moment. The history, the chaos, the sheer beauty of it. It just hits you all at once. We flew all the way from Perth, Western Australia, and from the moment we landed at Leonardo da Vinci Airport, everything felt different. Now, we had booked this trip through My Cruises, so we were not completely winging it. We had an itinerary, we had a group, and we had things organised for us, which took a lot of the stress out of it. But the good thing was we still had plenty of free time, and that is what made it work so well for us. So once we arrived at the Hotel Luche, which was right near Termini Station, we dropped our bags, had a quick freshen up, not too much, because let us be honest, after flying from Perth to Dubai and then Dubai to Rome, you are not exactly looking your finest. And then we did what you do when you first arrive in Rome. We walked outside and thought, where are we? And the answer was, we were in the best spot ever. Hotel Luche was very close to Termini Station, which made it so easy to get around. It was oldie-worldy. And hey, I'm not going to pretend it was some glamorous palace with chandeliers and a butler called Giovanni, but location-wise, it was absolutely fantastic. And that matters in Rome because Rome is not the sort of city where you want to be miles away from everything, especially if you're not interested in exhausting yourself before the holiday has even started. This is where the first easy Rome tip comes in. Choose a location that keeps your first day simple. You don't have to stay somewhere overly fancy, but if you can stay somewhere convenient, near transport, near food, and near the start of the hop-on, hop-off bus route, you make the whole city feel less intimidating. Because on that first day, after a long flight, you don't want it to be complicated. You want food, you want a shower, and you want to see Rome without turning into a worn-out little raisin by dinner time. So we started walking and almost straight away, we found Alice Pizza. Now, this was not a fancy sit-down restaurant. This was pizza by the slice, Roman style, cut from big trays. You can point out what you want and they cut it, weigh it, heat it, and off you go. We sat inside and ate it, and I'm telling you now, that pizza was absolutely beautiful. We made the decision that saved our first day in Rome. Instead of doing what I probably would have done years ago, which is try to march around Rome like I was training for the Olympics, we spotted one of the hop-on, hop-off buses. Wow. I thought, hang on, this might be the smart way to do it. That set the pace for the rest of our holiday because it was an amazing idea. So we bought our tickets, got on the bus in the afternoon and decided we were not going to hop off at every stop. We were just going to sit at the top, relax and let Rome come to us. This one decision saved our first day in Rome. From the top of that bus, it all started to make sense. And by the end of that bus ride, we had a much better idea of what we wanted to come back and see the next day. That is the part I really want you to remember if you are planning Rome. You do not have to conquer it all in one day, you just need to understand it. We did the full loop and came back near Termini Station, which was just perfect because our hotel was close by. So we survived day one in Rome, and I really thought that I had the rhythm of the city down to a T. Then came day two. I was just sitting there having my coffee, feeling like everything was going to plan. And then suddenly we were standing in the hotel lobby watching grown adults absolutely lose their minds. If you want to know how we went from a fully blown hotel lobby meltdown to the most magical morning inside the Vatican, stay with me, because this part of the story is crazy. Breakfast at Hotel Luche was genuinely good. Pastries, fruit, lovely Italian feel. Grant was relaxed and I was buzzing. The Vatican was ahead, and then we walked into the lobby to meet our tour leader. Tamara Sonego was trying to communicate over the noise to tell everyone the bus to the Vatican was not going to come. There'd been a little bit of a mix-up. You would have thought she'd asked them to give up their first child. There was shouting, grumbling, mutinous behaviour, people standing around yelling so loudly that nobody could even hear what Tamara was trying to say. I remember standing there thinking, oh my goodness, please don't let anyone think all Australians are like this. I felt for Tamara, I really did. She was trying to keep everyone organised, informed and happy. And that's not easy when some people expect everything to run exactly the way they'd imagined in their head. It seemed like everyone was furious.
Except me.
The Vatican was not far away. It was walking distance, in fact. And for those that were struggling with walking, could get a taxi. My motto for this trip was simple. No negativity. We are in Italy. Oh my God. But there's a beautiful thing about travelling in a group. You also find your people very quickly. Grant and I worked out who the kind, easygoing ones were. We really connected with a few people, Kathy, Paul, Peter and Louise. They ended up becoming genuine friends. We also made a point of befriending Tamara, first to give her some support, because honestly she needed it, and then because we realised that she was really lovely. So after wasting quite a bit of time with people yelling in the lobby, we finally headed off. Walking, we saw so much. Little shops, beautiful streets, snippets of Roman life you'd completely miss from a bus. Somewhere along the way I spotted a gelato place. I turned to Grant and said, we're having one of those on the way back. We got through the Vatican entrance quickly because our tickets had been organised in advance. Thank you, Tamara. Then we started walking through corridor after corridor, gallery after gallery. This is where the Pope lives. And of course, we wanted to see the Michelangelo painted ceiling, even though getting footage of it was technically highly illegal. Now here's something I didn't know before this trip. The Vatican is actually the smallest country in the world, but its history is enormous. The whole area became important because it's believed to be where St. Peter, the first pope in Catholic tradition, was buried. Centuries later, Emperor Constantine built the first major church right over St. Peter's tomb. That original basilica stood for over 1,000 years. Then during the Renaissance, they built the grand St. Peter's Basilica we see today. The popes weren't just religious leaders, they became powerful political figures too, ruling large parts of central Italy. In the 1800s, Italy became a united country, and the Pope lost most of all that territory. For decades, there was tension, real tension. Then in 1929, an agreement called the Lateran Treaty officially created Vatican City as its own independent country. So when you walk through the Vatican today, you're stepping into a place that has been shaped by faith, art, politics, and world history for nearly 2,000 years. Phew, that's a lot. But it's also incredible that you can just walk through all of that in a single morning. After seeing as much as we could, we started walking back, but of course we made that very important stop. Gelato! And I have to tell you, it was absolutely amazing. Real Italian gelato is made with egg, which is why it's so much richer and so much creamier. After a morning of lobby drama and hours of walking, sitting there on the street with Grant, eating gelato in the Roman sunshine, that was the moment I thought, wow. We met up with the people from our group, Louise and Peter, Kathy and Paul. We all headed for the big bus route from Termini. Termini is Rome's main transport hub. From here you can connect to trains, the metro, buses, the airport train and other parts of Italy. The name Termini actually comes from the ancient baths of Diocletian nearby. There are some places in the world that you think you know because you've seen them so many times in photos, movies and documentaries. The Colosseum is one of those places, but seeing it in real life is different. It is massive, dramatic, surreal, and it just seems to rise up out of the city like it's always been there, watching everything change around it. The Colosseum was built nearly 2,000 years ago under Emperor Vespasian and his son Titus. But the really interesting thing is where it was built. Before the Colosseum, this area was part of Emperor Nero's extravagant Golden House, and there was even an artificial lake here. So when Vespasian built a huge amphitheatre, it was also a message. He was turning a private imperial pleasure space into a public place for the Roman people. Inside the Colosseum is something else. The arena area has the arches, the stone, the corridors, and the layers of history. This was once the place where thousands of Romans gathered for gladiator fights, animal hunts, and public spectacles, the place of violence and power. Ancient Rome in all its grandeur and all its brutality. As we pass near the Circus Maximus, once ancient Rome's huge chariot racing stadium, you might remember Charlton Heston in the movie Ben-Hur racing those thundering chariots around the arena. And nearby is the Roman Forum, the beating heart of ancient Rome. Politics, religion, business, and public life came together. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. Those words are Shakespeare's version of Mark Antony's funeral speech for Julius Caesar, who was assassinated in 44 BC. Then Piazza Venezia, people often call the wedding cake. Its real name is the Vittoriano, or the Altare della Patria, which means altar of the fatherland, built to honour Victor Emmanuel II, the first king of United Italy. It also includes the tomb of the unknown soldier, an eternal flame which honours those who died for Italy. Later, the Spanish Steps. When I think of Rome on film, I think of Gregory Peck and Audrey Hepburn in the movie Roman Holiday. This old classic movie, Roman Holiday, made Rome feel very romantic to so many people, and you can still feel that magic. Then Trevi Fountain. I really held onto my bag as it's renowned for pickpockets. At the centre is Oceanus, often mistaken for Neptune, standing in a chariot. The two horses in front of him are guided by tritons. There's a tradition that you throw a coin over your left shoulder with your right hand. One coin guarantees your return to Rome. Obviously, I threw mine. More than €1 million+ a year is collected, sorted and donated to Caritas Rome, food programs, a soup kitchen and welfare projects for people in need. That evening, Grant and I decided to head out for Trastevere. We had enough of walking, so decided to get on the e-scooters. They are everywhere in Rome, and once you work out how to unlock them with your card, off you go. Trastevere means across the Tiber because it sits on the other side of the river from the historic centre. Narrow cobblestone streets, ivy-covered buildings, little piazzas, cafes, bars and restaurants tucked into every corner. The perfect place to wander, get a little bit lost and find somewhere lovely for dinner. You must try Cacio e Pepe. Cacio e Pepe is one of the classic Roman pastas. It is beautiful, creamy, peppery, salty and completely Roman. By the time we made it back, we felt like we had done what we came to Rome to do in the last 48 hours. A full day, busy, interesting and packed with moments we will always remember. For a first visit, it gave us a really good taste of the city and helped us understand why so many people fall in love with Rome. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help my little channel. And I'd love to know in the comments, have you ever been to Rome or is it still on your travel list? In my next video, I'm counting down the 10 best things to see and do in Rome, the big sights, practical tips and places worth your time. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and keep on shining.